Welcome back to another episode of Party Talk. I'm your host, Jake White, and today I'm chatting with Chandler Newton. He is the Community Outreach Coordinator for FullCircle. And I'm not going to give you the whole spiel on what they do because it's amazing. And honestly, as he tells you about what he does, you're going to see exactly why I absolutely love him and I love his company. So Chandler, thanks for coming on the show. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on, and thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess I know a little bit, but tell us about FullCircle and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So the FullCircle program is ultimately an alternative peer group. So what we do is we're a completely free program. We're located in Phoenix, Arizona, Kansas City, Missouri, Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Denver, Colorado. So we're pretty spread across the country, but ultimately we're a free youth at risk support group, and work with teenagers ages 13 all the way up to young adults ages 25 that struggle primarily with drug and alcohol abuse issues, but also a variety of other issues, whether that be self-harm, eating disorders, or just general mental health issues that arise for young people. And we offer all of our services totally for free. So we do 12-step support group meetings twice a week, parent support group meetings once a week. We do sober social functions on the weekends and individual peer support counseling appointments throughout the week with the participants and parents and, anyone involved in the family dynamic of the individuals and the young people we're working with. So, in a nutshell, that's what we do, and, have been able to operate for about 13 years now, offering all of our services completely for free of charge for the family and the, participants in the program. So that's like a, quick answer to your question.
Yeah. And that's what I loved so much about learning about you and what you're doing is that it is a teen support center that's focused on, young people who are in recovery or starting using or are at risk in that environment, and they can just show up. And you're throwing sober parties, man. Like y'all are having fun. The students have a blast, and it's a place to connect. So I was just like, how have we not heard about each other? And once we did connect, I'm like, dude, you're my best friend. This is amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, yeah, and it's exactly what AJ was saying yesterday at the event you came to. Like, we're, one of the best known hidden resources in the Valley. Like, not that many people know about us, and we really, kind of spread the message through a lot of word of mouth, and personal experience. We don't do much promotion or anything like that, but exactly. I mean, that's why I love what you do too with the whole sober party thing, because that's ultimately what we do. Our philosophy and approach is if you got a teenager or a young person that's going to have any desire to, give up whatever destructive behavior they've been using, recovery has to be fun, and it has to be social. It has to be peer-to-peer oriented. A teenager can't walk into a meeting or, meet with someone and expect, okay, if I get sober, my life's over and I'm never going to have any fun. It has to fill the same voids that drugs and alcohol or whatever else they were filling, their void with. It has to fill those same voids and, fill that same need. So that's what we're doing every day and trying to make it attractive and enthusiastic and fun, and until they can really find a better life and pick up the tools that we offer and the 12 steps offer, that really do fill that void. Right. So, yeah.
Exactly, man. And I couldn't agree more. It has to be fun. It has to be social. And what I was talking with y'all about as well was why I love it so much is, for one, I don't believe that there's any competitors in our space. Like, we need everybody, all hands on deck to do this. And so I love that I can now, when I go to a school, because we are so aligned in what we believe and what we show students how to do, is that if I'm on the prevention side, showing students you can have fun, make friends, and feel good without using drugs, and there's the demographic of students who's like, great, I can keep doing that. And I know that my message is primarily going to really resonate with them because it's helping them protect that decision that they've already made. Then there's the group of students who are like, hey, but Jake, I've already started. I need help. And that's where my lane ends. I can't be an expert in all things. So that's what's so cool though, is but there's FullCircle. Like, you have to check out FullCircle because Like they are doing it. And if you have already started using, they have the tools to not only, help you, but to use the same principles that were attractive from 518 and Party.0 is the same principles are at work because you're having fun and you're being social. So I can see myself, I mean, from now on, when I work at schools, especially if I know, they're in Charlotte or Denver or Phoenix, is that Kansas City, that I can be like, you have to check this out. Like, this is the program for you.
Yeah.
If you want help, like, yeah, all of a sudden the
Yeah.
waves of students to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks for the support, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's cool. What you said actually, made me kind of think of something I tell parents all the time and people in the community, because it's exactly that. Like, we're not competing with other treatment centers or residential programs or anything like that. We get lumped into that community a lot of like, okay, we're, in the treatment field and stuff. But with FullCircle, we're not treatment. We're not intensive therapy or anything like that. We're just a free youth at risk support group, right? We're a support group level of care. And the thing I'll tell providers and parents a lot when I'm doing appointments or community appointments or events is you can send your kid to the best program in the world. Like, you can send them to the best RTC, residential treatment center. You can send them to the best outpatient. But the second they get discharged is where the real issue, kind of starts, because,
Yeah.
and they might have a good experience, right? Like, they might get a lot of tools out of, a residential or a school talk or something like that, but when they get out of that environment and they go back home or wherever they're going, they're typically going back to the same environment that they were in before, right?
Yeah.
Which, for a teenager or a young person, that's the same friends that they're getting high with, and and they're using with maybe the same family dynamic that needs some work, or the same high school, right? Like, they're going back to the same environment that they were, using in. And I think the real kicker is after that intervention, like after that initial intervention, you got to change your environment. Like, for a teenager, they have to be placed in an environment where they're around positive peers and people that are going to support them and push them to grow in that way. That's where the whole alternative peer group model really comes from, because they have to, and I'll always say this, like, whether I'm talking to a teenager, a young person, or a parent about our second step, which our second step is we found it necessary to stick with winners in order to grow. And the way of thinking I'll give and the way I'll kind of pitch it is I'll ask someone, what is anything in the universe required in order for growth? And people would kind of be like, I don't know, life or water or whatever. And I'll say no, because black holes grow, right? Black holes grow in the universe. The thing that's required for everything to grow is the right environment, because you can plant a cactus in the South, in Georgia, and it's going to die, right? But if you plant it in Arizona, it's going to flourish and, grow. And it's the same thing with people, I think. Like, you have to be in the right environment, whether that's people, places, and things. And that's really what we're trying to create for a long-term process, because our program is typically 1.5 to 2 years of involvement before we consider someone to graduate, right, or graduate our program. And what we've found is, for a young person, that really is early recovery. Like, that 2-year mark is still pretty early recovery, because one, they're not just getting sober, but their brains are still developing. They're still growing. They're still going through the growing pains of adolescence, right?
Yeah.
But what if a relapse happens? What if, these things come up? We want to really be there to hold their hand through that and walk them through that and continue to support the individuals that we're working with. But, the other piece of that is it does take a lot of time for them to really get the level of ownership over their own recovery to say, no, this is truly how I want to live. Now I'm going to go transition back into church or, a different 12-step meeting where there's older people, or something like that. And that's usually what we see when we do formal graduations with our program, with people that have a year, 2 years sober, have been in our program that long. Is they typically have like that level of ownership to really own the tools that they've got here and go utilize them in every area of their life, right? Where if you're, discharging someone with 90 days sober, they're not going to know where to go. If it's a 16-year-old, they're just going to go back to their friends they were kicking it with, right?
Yeah.
Their friends can say, hey, you've been away, like, you want to hit this blunt or hit this pen or whatever, right? So there's got to be something more than just a 30, 60, 90-day program. And we really work best with the people that, you know, are familiar with the model and know how it works and are willing to support that, right? Because if someone can get out of treatment and then go into a setting like an alternative peer group, that's when the success rate is the highest. And when family members are involved too, you know, so.
Okay. Very cool.
Yep.
And I want to ask you about some of the events that y'all do. But first, can you tell me a little bit, just that background story of how did this start? How did FullCircle come about?
So FullCircle came about in 2010. So our executive director, he's a priest. His name's Father John. And I believe the story was he was working for a church here in Tempe, Arizona, and was working with a couple of members from his parish, and you know, a couple of them were parents that had kids that were struggling with substance use disorder or substance abuse, and you know, he would meet with these teenagers, but didn't really have anywhere to send them aside from, like, you know, maybe a treatment center that works with adolescents, or AA, right, or NA, or some type of 12-step meeting. But a lot of those meetings are just, you know, adults, right, and people that a 16-year-old's not going to relate to. So, you know, kind of fast forward, I believe one of those teenagers that he was, you know, trying to reach overdosed and passed away. And you know, it kind of sparked this thing where it's like, okay, there needs to be something out there that, you know, is attractive to teenagers. It's going to work for teenagers, right, and kind of set them on the right path. But the vision has always been to keep it free, for parents and for the individuals. Either it's early intervention, and then maybe they don't need, you know, treatment, and they don't need to pay $10,000 to go to a program or something like that. Or two, they've already, you know, kind of used up all their resources, and, you know, they've sent their kid to treatment and they've spent all this money, you know, or for the families that can't afford it, right? So we've always had a goal to keep it free, and you know, to be able to reach as many people as we can. And we get funding through, you know, donors, private donors, fundraisers we do, grant writing, you know, all types of stuff. So that definitely keeps us busy, but
yeah,
you know, it's worth it. And we've been blessed, and, you know, have grown in the past couple of years from just Arizona to 6 different locations, and you know, become a lot more structured along the way too, and kind of really figured out how we want to, like, run this thing and what makes the most sense and how it works the best.
Yeah. That's so inspiring, though, that, you know, he saw a need, Father John, and said, you know, I can help, and all that's come from that. Because I'm sure going from, you know, a pastor role, and just meeting him briefly the other day, it sounded like he was even part of the youth program, you know, helping out with that, and just really seeing the need and thinking, like, how can we practically help these students, because they're just going through something extremely difficult, and maybe a lot of people that need help, like, they won't show up to church, you know, so we need to go to them, like, whatever it is, you know, like, I think you said, meet them where they're at. You know, that's where we need to be, is where they need help. So it sounds like y'all are doing a great job of doing that, and just how we got connected is a perfect example of it. You know, us talking to each other, saying, "Hey, did you know this thing exists?" Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. He's definitely got a huge heart for, you know, the recovery community and young people, and it shows, you know. And I think, like I said, we've totally been blessed, and I think, you know, God gives us exactly what we need in the moment we need it, right? No more, no less. So we've been able to really grow and continue to just reach people and help people. So it's been awesome. Yeah,
it's evident God is with you on this journey, because, like, y'all are growing and helping so many people. Can you tell me more about the events? Like, I'm all about the sober parties, man. What do you?
Oh yeah,
think for fun? Yeah.
totally. Yeah. That's the you know, because we do 12-step meetings. Those are also, you know, we take an enthusiastic approach to those as well. But I think the functions really are kind of a huge vital part of what we do. And, you know, Friday, Saturday nights, typically 7:30 p.m. is when they start. And when they take place, we do sober social functions. And those consist of dances, weird game shows we'll put on here at our building, going out for nights on the town, random stuff like that. And I can give you more specifics. Like one of the functions we do in-house at our building, we have like a whole warehouse area in the back. And I know you saw it yesterday, but we'll do this function called fly swatter hockey, where we basically play hockey with fly swatters and a ping pong ball, right? And there's music playing, and there's like dance lights going on. So we'll do stuff like that. Some of the bigger ones we do, we'll do conventions a couple times a year, and one of them we do in Denver, Colorado, is Friday night. All of our programs get together. Friday night we do a rave dance at the FullCircle building. We set up this whole event, right? And there's typically about 400 young people that come and family members and stuff like that. So it's really cool to see, 400 teenagers to young adults having the time of their lives sober, right? So we'll do that Friday night. And then Saturday we do a picnic with, the parents and the individuals in the program and the staff. And then Saturday night, we'll put on this huge sober concert. Where all of the programs get a band together, and then obviously we're not phenomenal or anything like that. We're not like celebrity level, talented at music or anything.
Right.
But we'll do a sober concert and perform for the program, and it's super fun and super cool. So those are some of the bigger events we do. And the way of thinking that I got when I was, being trained and working here, and I got sober in an alternative peer group as well. So, I got sober going to these events and these meetings and these functions as well. But the way of thinking I got was, for a teenager, you want to really make it getting high just flipped on its head. And what I mean by that is typically, if you're a kid in high school, you're showing up on Monday talking to your buddies about what you did over the weekend, and then leading closer to the weekend, and Wednesday or Monday night we do a meeting, right? We try to create that, like, dude, the functions this weekend were so cool, or this is what I did, or remember when Billy did this thing, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Closer to the end of the week, you're talking about what you're doing this weekend, So Wednesday night we have another meeting, starting to talk about what's going on this next upcoming weekend, getting people excited for it, hyped up on it. Friday night is usually a pregame to Saturday, which is the big party and the big event, right? Sunday is recover, So Friday night for us is usually something more mild, and Saturday is our big function and our big event, So maybe Friday night would be just a shot night where we all show up here, play games, hang out. Saturday we do a dance, it's something like that. So it really is just positive peer pressure instead of negative peer pressure, And yeah, I think the word peer pressure can get a really negative connotation, but I think if you use it in a positive light, it can be really powerful too. So
Yeah. It's especially too, I'm thinking about my experience starting my organization, is just the positive psychology of knowing other people are doing it makes you want to do it. So if other people are making great choices, right, you want to do that. That's great.
Yeah, and if you're immersed in that environment, if you hang around a barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut. Like it's that whole thing. Like if you're around people that are getting high and talking about doing bad things or making bad decisions, like you're more likely to do that, right? And then if you're around positive people doing positive things and encouraging you in positive ways, you're more likely to follow suit too.
Yeah. So tell me more about the since you're at the Chandler, Arizona location here in Phoenix. So what do y'all have to have as far as staffing goes to support the whole program, and how many students you're able to serve with the model that you're doing? What does that look like as far as your team goes?
So with Arizona, we have 2 lead coordinators. So we have a younger group lead coordinator and an older group lead coordinator. The younger group lead coordinator works with the families with the kids that are 13 to 17. Older group works with the individuals and families that are 18 to 25, right? So the lead coordinators are the one that are doing the initial appointments. They're doing, the follow-up appointments with the support group and people in their age range. And that's ongoing up until, an individual graduates, right? They'll still be meeting with staff regularly and, periodically, and, getting direction from the staff, and all of our staff are in recovery. So we have 2 lead coordinators. We typically have, like a junior coordinator. So, their kind of role is just do stuff around the building, do stuff around the shop, get the support group up here during the day, make it happen, and, be around them. Because a lot of the times, the lead coordinators are the ones kind of putting up some walls and boundaries and kind of saying, dude, you can't come here if you're getting loaded, or, something like that, right? Or going to be pushing them to grow. And sometimes that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So we want to have a junior staff member that is just kind of a buddy too, So if Jim walks out of Anna's office all angry and pissed off because Anna put up this wall with him, he can go back into the shop. We call our warehouse the shop, and our junior counselor Joe is there being like, dude, what's up, man? What's going on? And just be his friend, right? Be his cheerleader, stuff like that. So and then we have our program director. His name's AJ, so he runs all of the programs across the country. But that's typically all you need. And obviously, as a program grows, you'll need more people. My role is pretty new. So for the first 2 years I was working with FullCircle, I was the younger group lead coordinator. So I was pretty in the trenches with the individuals and family. And the lead coordinators are the ones that kind of facilitate the group as a whole and kind of continue to see, like, how is the health of the support group? Who needs love? Who needs support? Who do I need to get in? Right. And dumps a lot of energy and attention into, like, the leadership of the support group, the individuals that have been in the program for a while, and that trickles down, obviously. So, that's more their role, is facilitation of the support group. So that's what I was doing for 2 years. And for the last 6 months, I've just been more in a role of community outreach, and some fundraising and stuff. So it's a pretty new role, and we kind of just created it. But my vision has always been, we're a free program. I know we can serve more than 25 kids, but to put this in perspective, the Denver location right now has over 100 young people actively involved, and to facilitate a support group with teenagers and make recovery look attractive and fun, and reach people, it has to be done very artfully, I think. And a huge part of that is all of our staff got sober young, we're all in recovery. So we really can relate to them, and connect with them on that level of, hey, I'm not just some psychiatrist or therapist that's, that you're talking to because your parents dragged you here. Right. So we're a voluntary based program as well. Right. So if a kid doesn't want to be here or doesn't want to be sober, we're coaching the parents on how to set up some serious boundaries and walls if they need that to get them into a higher level of care. Right. Yeah. And I think the approach is you got to raise a teenager's bottom, because they're not going to hit bottom on their own. They're still in this phase where they're having fun. Maybe they're getting in trouble with their parents or getting suspended at school, but they think, like, this is my parents' problem. Like, it's not really my problem. Sometimes you get the young people that do, really are ready and, want to get sober and want to get help, but more times than not, they need some form of intervention. So we're talking to the parents on how to really help them get there, right? Get there a little bit quicker and raise their bottom, and to be able to helpfully communicate, like, hey, I love you and I'm not okay with you getting high in my house. You know what I mean? So if you're going to live here, which you are, because you're a minor, we got to do something,
Okay. Wow. I've never heard of that phrase, like, raise their bottom. You don't want them to hit rock bottom of what that could potentially look like. So raising it, that's a cool image. Is there anything else? I mean, even just seeing some of your t-shirts on the walls and the phrases that commonly go on in the shop, as you call it, is there anything that you kind of live by that's really struck you from your time, with them, that you're kind of like, oh yeah, I end up saying this all the time, or like one of our values that is really for students to grasp onto?
Yeah, I really, all of it, like all of the stuff that we talk about, the meetings we lead, I really do try to live by, and I'm not perfect, obviously, no one is, but I do think there's a reality of, to work in the role that we do and work with the people we do and try to accomplish the mission we do. The staff and the leadership really do need to practice what they preach and own what they're talking about, and live by it. The same way like you would want like a pastor or a preacher to, live by Christianity and the Bible and stuff,
Yeah.
But a big one that resonates for me, and we were talking about it last week, is we have a saying called God writes straight with crooked lines. And
Yeah.
that's a meeting that we'll lead sometimes, and a saying we have. And really what it means is like, well, for me personally, my personal experience is I'm so grateful where I ended up, and I got sober when I was 15. There was about a year of intervention before that of me going to different treatment centers and hospitals and psych wards and, different programs and places. And I didn't want help, and I was really broken and hurt, right? But I didn't want to get sober. I still thought like, this is my parents' problem. This is my girlfriend's problem. This is my ex-girlfriend's problem. Like if everyone would just leave me alone, I'd be fine and I can get high and do my thing,
Wow.
But my parents were really unwilling to give up on me. And I'm super grateful for that, because now I'm so grateful to be in recovery and doing what I'm doing, because I know I wouldn't be doing this if I never went through what I went through. And if I got what I was asking for when I was 15, I would have been selling myself so short compared to the life I have now, now I get to help people every day. I get to do a job I really love and care about. I'm engaged, like I'm about to get married to
Yeah.
a wonderful woman. And, and the friendships I have and the love I have in my life, I don't think I would have gotten any of that if I wouldn't have, if things wouldn't have played out the way they did. So that's kind of what God writes straight with crooked lines means is, God does have a plan, right? And even if stuff isn't going your way initially, like you don't know what the big picture is,
Yeah.
and if you're willing to trust and take the next right action and not step out of the loop in a sense, right? Like, it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to, and you're going to be able to see a silver lining and find gratitude in the hardships and the stuff you're going through. So that's one that really resonates with me and something I really love and has been totally true in my life.
Yeah.
And I can go on like, yeah, I could go on. I mean, I could talk about that for like an hour and a half, but obviously.
Well, I think what it really comes down to is that phrase is it's about faith, and it's also about resilience, because you're asking a young person to go through maybe withdrawals and recovery and isolation, but you're helping all of that stuff with your program. But at the same time, it's still difficult because
Right.
our bodies and our brains have been used to using substances to get all those things. So it's hard for adults and it's hard for students too. So for you to say, God writes straight with crooked lines, it gives you permission that like, all right, when you mess up, it doesn't mean you give up. It means you keep trying and you build resilience and grit and perseverance because you believe in yourself and you believe in the outcome. And so I see that, just thinking like a through line into your organization. I bet you they experience that with the staff. They experience it with support, with volunteers, with the other students there. And it's really built in throughout the entire organization, which is fascinating. We're run out of time. So I want to, give people a chance to connect with you with FullCircle. I mean, the people that listen to this are, in drug prevention coalitions or in schools, and they're on that side where they might get a student coming to them asking for help, and they might know what to do. They might not. So if they're in the areas where y'all operate, I mean, if they could get in touch with y'all, how do they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach me personally at my email. That is Chandler, so CHANDLER Newton, NEWTON. So Chandler Newton at FullCircleProgram.com. And our office number here at the Arizona location is 480-620-7995. So those are the two easiest ways to reach us. The office number is always forwarded to my cell phone. So, if you leave a message, I'll call you back or I'll pick up immediately. But, whatever location you're in or whatever state you're in, like I can always connect you with the appropriate staff or anything like that. So those would be the two easiest ways. And I always look at my email. I respond every day. So, I'm reachable.
Yeah. And as the guy who's in charge of fundraising and development, what do y'all need right now? Is there anything that you need from the community that you're looking or goals you're moving towards right now?
So, no, not necessarily. I mean, the thing I will say as far as community outreach is, we are in a place where we're really able to work with a lot more people than we have right now. So if you have a loved one or a parent that that's struggling or a kid that's struggling, don't hesitate. And we do referral sourcing. So if they need more than we can provide, we're going to put them in good hands. Or we can work with them. So, that's really the biggest thing is just, if you know people that need, the services we provide or are struggling, like we're happy to help and reach out our hand. Aside from that though, like you can find, so on our website, there is an option to donate. So if you want to put in a donation, anything does help. We've been, again, really blessed as far as like the grants we've been able to get this year. And we have some really generous private donors and stuff. And we got some fundraisers coming up at the end of the year as well. So all that will be on our website and on our Facebook page. You can also follow us on Facebook at FullCircle Program Arizona. So FullCircle is one word, FullCircle Program Arizona. And all our upcoming events and fundraisers will be on there. So those are the two biggest ways that you can support us financially is either donate on our website or just, follow us on social media and find the fundraisers that we have coming up in the future.
There you have it. Another episode of Party Talk where we empower leaders in youth drug prevention. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Chandler Newton from FullCircle. And hey, if you're inspired by them, reach out, create a partnership. I know they're in a couple different areas right now, but who knows in the future where they'll be. I could see them all across the country. Y'all have a great week and keep doing what you're doing.